You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on. News 25 is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law, voted Best of Las Vegas. Give them a call, 702-727-9900.
Thank you for joining us here on News 25 and Ace Country Radio and streaming at KPVM.TV and now on Roku devices on this Wednesday, June 4th, 2025. Good evening. I'm Chris Palermo. Here's what's happening. An Amargosa man is now arrested for sexual assaulting a woman during the night after breaking into her travel trailer. And News 25 has this story.
A man was arrested in connection to a sexual assault case that occurred in the early hours of June 2, 2025 at a travel trailer in rural Amargosa Valley, according to the Nye County Sheriff's Office. Authorities said the victim reported that a male entered her trailer during the night, sexually assaulted her, and fled the scene. She was later transported to UMC in Las Vegas for a forensic examination. Investigators identified the suspect after a supervisor at a nearby ranch reviewed work logs and confirmed that an employee identified as Sergio Barracan was the suspect in this investigation. The victim also told detectives she had received a phone call from Sergio earlier that evening and later recognized his voice during a follow-up call made in the presence of the ranch staff. On June 3rd, a search warrant was issued for a DNA sample from the suspect. Investigators returned to the ranch that day and took Sergio into custody. A Spanish-speaking detective read him his Miranda rights and he agreed to speak with investigators. Initially, he denied knowing the victim or being at the trailer, but later admitted to visiting her and having sexual contact. The victim, in a follow-up interview, remained clear and consistent, stating that this encounter was not consensual. Based on the victim's statement, physical evidence, the suspect's admission to sexual contact, and the identification of his voice, investigators determined that there was a probable cause to charge Sergio with several offenses. Sergio Barracan is facing charges of sexual assault, robbery, and assault. The suspect was taken and booked into the Nye County Detention Center without incident.
More news now. The Board of County Commissioners met on June 3rd, and one item on the agenda caused some discourse among not only the community, but the commissioners as well. Now let's take a look.
During the June 3rd Board of County Commissioners meeting, Commissioner Ian Bain brought forward an item for discussion and deliberation regarding the First Responder Retention and Appreciation Initiative. This proposal aimed to allocate $1,022,400 to assist Nye County first responders with health insurance costs or provide direct cash assistance.
The First Responder Retention and Appreciation Act is a one-time expense. It will not raise taxes. Comes out of grant funding that we already have sitting unused. And I hope I'm not the only one up here who supports our first responder, who prioritizes our police, our fire over software and vehicles and building improvements.
During the discussion, several community members stepped forward to express their opinions on this initiative, both in support and concerns about the allocation and use of funds.
What is the other employees? How do they feel about this? We're singling out the EMS. And all the other unions and all the other employees are going, what are we, chopped liver?
We're at a threshold moment from what I see, based on my 33 years experience in the federal government, being charged with handling up to $100 million. So from what I see, from the spending patterns that I've witnessed just in the last 3 years, we're at a point where we can't actually spend any more money. If you have $1 million in LATCF, that is kind of a windfall from the federal government. Keep it. Hold on to it.
From a financial standpoint, the budget is way too tight. Way too tight. From a standpoint of actually Doge, then they're done it, lived it, still doing it. So from a financial standpoint, we're in real tight matters. I think the prior commenter about the risk of being on fiscal watch, yeah, we're pretty close, guys. We really are.
Following public comment, Commissioner Boscovich asked the county to provide their input on the matter before the vote was taken.
So I just want to make everyone aware that this does dwindle down our LATCF down to 752,600 since our last meeting. A lot of these allocations have not been spent yet, obviously, because we just met about it 2 weeks ago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do want to point out that we do need to keep in mind NRS 288, which is collective bargaining. And although 288 does not prohibit the Board of County Commissioners from deciding to increase any funding for the budget, what the county cannot do is unilaterally implement changes to wages, benefits, or other terms of conditions of employment without giving the unions advance notice and the right to request bargaining over these changes. So action today doesn't necessarily mean that it will move forward.
Despite the conversation and feedback from the community, the board ultimately did not approve this initiative. The vote failed 2-3 with Commissioner Ian Bain and Ron Boscovich in favor of this initiative. The proposal may be revised and revisited at a future meeting.
And exciting airfield studies have been going on at Nellis Air Force Base. Our Clark County correspondent Maria Centers now brings us the story.
A geotechnical and structures laboratory team from the U.S. Army Engineer Research and Development Center, also known as ERDC, recently completed field testing exercises right here in Clark County at Nellis Air Force Base. During the mission, ERDC researchers tested new expeditionary airfield matting components that are lighter, easier to pack, and may have the capacity to last longer than current models. Now let's hear from the experts on how the airfield assessments went.
Over the past probably 10 years, ERDC team has been working on developing a brand new matting system. This matting system is called AML. It's an airfield mat, lightweight. We've reduced the volume of the mat by about a third, and then we've also reduced its weight by about 40% in unit area. And the idea is we wanted to try to come up with something that's easier to ship around the world, more logistically friendly, and is easier on the troops when they're installing it.
ERDC helps solve our nation's most pressing challenges in civil and military engineering, geospatial sciences, water resources, and environmental sciences for the Army, Department of Defense, civilian agencies, and for our country's public good.
AM2 has been around for a very long time. It was developed in the 60s to simulate aircraft ship decks. It's been the gold standard for matting for a long time. However, it was designed well before our current shipping container configurations, and so the reason we're trying to bring in something like AML rather than just always using AM2 is because AML is more friendly to shipping by cargo containers and shipping to C-17s using the Air Force.
ERDC conducts research and development in support of the soldier, military installations, and the Corps of Engineers Civil Works mission, along with state and municipal authorities, among others.
Logistically, it's a lot more friendly. However, it's not as structurally robust as AM2, so we're not going to get rid of AM2 completely. We're just making a supplemental for where you don't necessarily need something as robust as AM2. It's actually been very effective. We caught a lot of the big issues in the small scale testing. AML has tighter tolerances because we shrank it down, so we were a little bit concerned about that, but we were able to build a very large section of the pad in just a day. So generally speaking, we took some notes, some ways we can improve, but it was actually a lot more effective than we might have thought coming out here.
ERDC is home to 7 labs in 4 states and employs over 2,600 individuals.
They've been learning a lot of what this new mat is actually entailing. They've been given a great deal of feedback and reviews for the ERDC team, so they can take it back for testing and research purposes. My guys have been just phenomenal out here. We were the first ones to actually touch this, so it's a great feeling for not only myself leading this, but also just for my guys and just seeing them actually getting the recognition that they deserve for this. I'm so happy that you guys actually worked with us and chose us to be a part of this great opportunity.
The U.S. Army Engineer Research and Development Center's vision is to become the world's premier public engineering and environmental sciences research and development organization. Reporting from Las Vegas and shooting it back over that hump to Pahrump, I'm Maria Centers for News 25.
Thank you, Maria. More local stories coming up. Your sports and weather. You're watching News 25.
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on.
Welcome back to News 25 in sports. Well, the Stanley Cup final is about to take off tonight. First game in Edmonton in Florida is there. Mikey has that and more.
Time now for your News 25 look at sports and streaming at KPVM.TV and now on Roku devices. The Las Vegas Aviators back to their winning ways. Aviators 6, Tacoma Rainiers 2 on Tuesday night. Rematch this evening at 6:05. Two Las Vegas Valley natives are set to compete across the globe on U.S. Women's National Flag Football Team. Machi Joncic and Brianna Hernandez Silva were both selected to the team's final roster for the second time. The Stanley Cup Finals kick off this evening. Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers.
The biggest game in the history of the Stanley Cup Final is about to be played.
The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
Well deserved. We'll see you next year.
You're a Stanley Cup champion. How does it compare to what you imagined?
You can't put into words what it feels like to win a cup. There's just nothing that can describe it and explain how great it feels and the emotions that you feel and the pride that you have when you win. Understanding that and knowing that feeling, I want to win so bad.
As this remarkable Oiler comeback falls one game short.
It's tough to put into words right now. You're one period, one shot away from maybe winning.
It's been 10 years now. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Go through 82 regular season games again and play well enough to even get a kick at it.
And here we go. The best time of the year has arrived. The 2025 Stanley Cup playoffs. Unbelievable! A legendary performance.
You got to go through 4 high-end opponents and you got to beat them 4 times.
David working past Eichel. A star player making a star play.
And a big moment. It doesn't get any better than that. And the Florida Panthers are going to the Stanley Cup Final for the 3rd year in a row.
They all play the same way. They're the standard. The aggressiveness. It's the attack mentality.
That'll lead to a breakaway for Connor McDavid.
A silencer here. And the Oilers are headed for a rematch with the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Final.
We have a chance to do something very few teams in NHL history have done.
It's the toughest trophy to win in all of sports.
For the 2nd year in a row, it's Edmonton and Florida in the Stanley Cup Final.
Here we go.
It's going to be a great battle. Chomping at the bit to get another chance at it.
Shot at getting some revenge. It's cup or bust.
A'ja Wilson picked up her 23rd Player of the Week honor. Only 3 players in the league history recorded more such honors than Wilson. Tina Charles with 32, Candace Parker 27, Elena Del Donnie picked up 24. During the Aces 2 games this past week in which they went 2-0, Wilson averaged 27 points, 10 rebounds, 4.5 assists, 3.0 steals, and 3.5 blocks per game on 52.5% shooting from the field. And that's your look at sports on News 25.
Thank you, Mikey. And coming up, the Southern Nye County Conservation is hiring, and we'll tell you how you can get more info. You're watching News 25.
You're watching News 25. Local coverage you can count on. News 25 is brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500.
Welcome back to News 25. I'm Chris Palermo. Looking for flexible part-time work with the focus on conservation? Well, the Southern Nye County Conservation District now hiring an administrative assistant to help support local environmental efforts.
Hi, this is John Pollock and this is Tamlin Taylor. We're from the Southern Nye County Conservation District and we're looking for a administrative assistant, secretary if you would, for our group. We're looking for someone who can give us possibly 15 to 20 hours a week, is it?
It's actually 10 to 15 hours each month, so it is a part-time position. And some of the duties you might have is attending our meetings. So we meet on a quarterly basis and it's virtual, so that's helpful. But at least one time a year we do meet in person. And so you might learn how to run a meeting in the sense that you'll be able to take minutes, write them properly for the state of Nevada. So there will be a little bit of a learning curve in the beginning, but it should be really pretty interesting for anybody that's interested in conservation, watching out for the wildlife, our natural resources. Some of the other people you would meet would be maybe a specialist in water resources, or say a U.S. wildlife employee, so really in tune with some of the wildlife in our area. Now it is for Southern Nye, so that means Pahrump, Amargosa, Beatty, that area.
So if you're interested in natural resource conservation, water conservation, species conservation, urban agriculture, locally led conservation, learning project administration, or understanding how to engage more with conservation partners, please join us. Join them, because I'm retiring, I'm leaving. So we'd love to have you on the board. It's exciting. Like you said, you'll meet a lot of new people.
News 25 WeatherCam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
That's the Lerner and Rowe Weather Cam. Let's take a drive through the old scenic 159 route through Red Rock Canyon on the way to Summerlin. We had a round of amazing lightning come through Pahrump last night. What's in store? Well, the complete forecast is up next.
Weather is sponsored by the Nevada Dairy Farmers and the Dairy Council of Nevada, sharing the love of all things dairy. Celebrate the best moments with milk. Milk the moment. And the weather is also brought to you by the Ponderosa Dairy, Nevada's largest dairy, fresh from our farm to your table.
Good evening, Nevada. My name is Rory Rosell, coming to you from the Channel 25 Weather Studios. And we're taking a look at Nevada right now. Up in northern Nevada, Fernley is seeing 83 degrees. Fallon is seeing 85. Carson City is also at 83. Tonopah is at 80 degrees. Goldfield's at 82. Beatty is at 91. Amargosa is at 97. Las Vegas is at 92. And Death Valley is at 107. But here in the beautiful paradise of Pahrump, it is currently 92 degrees. The high today was 94. Wind blowing south at 9 miles per hour. Humidity 19% today. And the sun rose this morning at 5:29 and is setting tonight at 7:58 p.m. The humidity rises up to 34% and the wind continues to blow tonight southeast at 12 miles per hour. The low tonight is going to be 73 degrees. Let's take a look at that 7-day forecast. Tomorrow on Thursday we are seeing 93 degrees, 95 on Friday, 101 on Saturday, 103 on Sunday, and then 104 on Monday and Tuesday, and then back down to 101 next Wednesday. So like I always say, make sure to stay hydrated and also wear that sunscreen so you don't get sunburned. Back to the desk, here's Chris.
Thank you, Miss Rosell. It looks pretty good. And last night, Mother Nature put on quite a scene with that lightning. I don't think we have much more of that coming up soon. That'll just about do it for all of us here tonight. News 25, Chris Palermo. Make it a great night.